Summer break so far. I still wish I was in school sometimes so I could have summers off. But with summer usually comes a bit of crafting. And we are doing something really cool and fun on our websites right now on Sizzix.com and Sizzix.co.uk. We are doing bundles. So you will be able to go to either one of those websites, and it should be in the banner, but if not, you can search under new products and you'll see something called bundles. And that is where you will find a selection of different bundles that we are putting together with new products, new dyes, making essentials, things like that. We're putting them together for you at a discounted rate. So you're actually getting 30% off MSRP or RRP, depending on where you are in the world. And that's really nice because you get to try new stuff essentially for a discounted rate, and you get a couple of other items all together. So this bundle I'm going to show you today is the Floral Bundle. And if you are new to us, then you know that we've typically always made our flowers out of cardstock and paper and more recently our sculpting foam. But we just came out with crepe paper, and I'm really excited to bring this up and show you. You can make this really beautiful, realistic kind of floral bouquet using what's in the new Floral Bundle. So I'm going to go through everything that's in there, give you a few tips and tricks on how to assemble these and ways that you can use them. But let me switch to an overhead camera so you can see everything, and I can walk you through a few steps. So these are the items you're going to receive in the Floral Bundle. You're going to get one crepe paper pack. This is our color splash pack. You're going to get one set of the metallic stamens, which are in gold and silver. You're going to get our paper sculpting kit, and you're going to get the wild peony flower die set from Lisa Jones. I'm going to go through each of these items so that you kind of understand the properties of each of them and what's so beneficial about them as a group together. So I'm going to start with the crepe paper because that's obviously the main staple of the kit in general. You can't make, well, you can make flowers without this, but the whole point is to make flowers with this. So I wanted to point out that the crepe paper pack comes, you get 10 different colors in a pack, and they're all size 12 by 24 inches. So 12 inches high, 24 inches long. You actually can get quite a few flowers out of these. They are 150% stretch. So this is more of a heavier weight. It's kind of in between light and heavy. It's not super heavy duty crepe paper, but it's definitely not light crepe paper, it's lightweight. So it's a really nice firm crepe paper. It holds its shape really well. And you're gonna get these more bold, vibrant purples and pink tones over here, some nice orange, yellow tones. Those are all meant to kind of make your flowers. So you can obviously make your flowers in whatever colors you want from this pack, but that's kind of how we intentioned, is that these are the ones you would make your blooms with. Then you get some lighter tones right here in the yellow cream family. Those are more so for your flower centers and things of that nature. But again, like I said, you can use those to make your own flowers. And then you get two different shades of green, and that's to help you create your leaves and your different foliage elements that you get with any of the dyes that kind of come in our flower making range. Now, speaking of flowers, you're going to get the Wild Peony Thinlits die set. So this one creates a really kind of more open and robust thinlet, not thinlet, but flower. And I want to show you why it's so important that you work with crepe paper with these flowers in particular. And it's because we designed the petals to work with the crepe paper. Now, you might be saying, I don't understand. I thought you can cut anything from crepe paper. You can. However, when you're working with crepe paper, because it stretches, you're stretching it to mold the shape of your petals, which I'm going to show you briefly in just a minute. And the point of being able to do that is cutting along the grain. And so the grain is a vertical grain, and you want to align your petals vertically, not horizontally, because then they'll stretch this direction instead of stretching the width. So you want to stretch the width on any of these petal shapes. You want to kind of be able to mold them in on themselves. So So it's really important with these particular dies, they were designed to cut vertically on the grain. That's why you've got two petals, separate petals, but they are stacked like this so that you can cut them easier when you're working with the crepe paper. Obviously with the Thinlits dies, you can cut definitely through one of these at a time. I have tried and have been successful at cutting 2 layers at a time. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that with every single die. Obviously, as you get down to the smaller shapes, that's probably not something you want to do. But when you're having to cut a bunch of petals to actually make these flowers, I haven't found any issues with cutting through 2 layers at a time. I would not go with 3, even though it is a thinner material. I think 3 would be kind of pushing it, but I have found that I can cut through 2 layers without it affecting the stretch, because if you think about it, when you stack the layers, if you it starts to kind of push it out, it might affect the stretch on the material. But 2 I have found to work. So if you're cutting through multiple layers, I wouldn't go more than 2, but you can cut through 2 layers at once. So as you can see, you kind of get these different Thinlits in the die set. These 2 create your larger outer petals. This creates your inner kind of medium petals. This one is an attached petal, which is meant to shape around the center of your flower. So that's why this one's shaped that way, because it's meant to curve in around the center. This one creates some stamens, but as you saw, it comes with stamens. So you can use either or. You can use this one, or you can use these to use at the center of your flower. And then you get this really nice leaf shape that you can add onto the bottom of your flower, like we've done here, or even onto the stem itself. So that's the flowers. Now, like I was saying, you get these metallic, the metallic range of floral stamens. Sorry, I was pulling some in from the side. So our flower stamen packs, there's 400 in a pack, and they come with, I've got some that are already open. They come with 4 different types of flower, or flower stamen, I should say. So you get 2 of each color, but then you get this one that's smooth, and then you get one that's textured. So they have different looks to them, which is nice. You can mix and match as you please, or you can just choose one to work with. You can use them at the center of the peony, but if you don't want to work with the flower stamens, you can also work with wood beads or styrofoam balls on a piece, or at the end of a piece of floral wire. So you would just hot glue these onto it, wrap some crepe paper around here, and then start to build your flower around the ball. So if you don't want to use the stamens with the crepe paper, you can use the stamens with pattern paper, or not pattern paper, sorry, cardstock, although you could use pattern paper. And I will show you one in just a minute where I've done that, but you do have alternate ways to actually assemble these dies. So you're not limited to just flower stamens, but it is a nice way to kind of make these all work together. And the last thing you're gonna get in your kit is your paper sculpting kit. This is really beneficial if you decide to cut these flowers from paper, but it's also really great when you're working with the crepe paper too, because what comes in your paper sculpting kit, and this is something that I use every single day. I'm not even kidding. It's something I use every single day. You're gonna get the gray molding mat, and this is what gives your flowers that little extra organic shape to them. So I'm gonna pull out, I've pre-cut some petals, and I wanted to show you kind of how you would use the paper sculpting kit with this. So I've cut out essentially of the loose petals, I've cut about 6 to 8 of each size, depending on how thick you want your flowers. So I'm gonna pull one in here real quick. So this particular flower is a little bit more open. It's not as full. So this one I probably would have cut about 6 of each size and left it a little bit more open, because that's the look I was going for. But if I want something a little bit more full, like this bouquet, these ones I probably cut 6 to 10 for each layer, so that I could get a really full, more robust, because you know when you see peonies, they have so many layers upon layers upon layers. And obviously these ones I have created them a little bit more open, but the more you form them in on themselves, you can make them really tight like the buds. So you can do them in different ways. You can have ones that are more open and full, like they're blooming, or you can just really kind of curl them so that they're curling in on themselves so they look more like the unopened flower bud. But one thing you can do when you're working with these is when you are putting these together, like we were saying, you cut on the grain for a reason. So with these, you're gonna take your 2 thumbs and your 2 pointer fingers, and you're going to pull however you want. Now this is the trick, it's just kind of playing around with it. You're gonna go through all your petals and just pull them into like a cupped shape. And you're gonna do that with all of them, and that's what starts to form that really nice kind of organic petal shape that curves in on itself. Now, if you don't want it to be as curved, if you want it to be a more open bloom, then you just don't stretch as much, or you stretch further down. So it depends on how you want. You can stretch some more than others. You really do get to customize these flowers, and that's what I love about them, is that you don't have to make them all the same, but you can. But that's the beauty of flowers. They all look different. And so you're gonna do that with this one on both sides. And this one you really wanna cup, because this is the piece that goes up and around the center of your flower. So you can glue some of the flower stamens right here in the center, and then attach these to the bottom of, I think it would probably be easier to like put the flower stamens through the center of this, and then at the bottom push in with your stamens, push in the floral wire if you're choosing to do that. You might not even be making flowers like on a stem. You might just be making a flower to go on top of a gift, or to go on a garland, or for decoration. Who knows? That's the beauty of the flowers. You could be making them for a wreath and you don't even need them to be on there. But that's basically what you do to form them. You're gonna do that all the way through until you start gluing it all together around a central bead or styrofoam ball, or in this case, I did this one with paper. I've got the flower stamens in the center, and then I've glued the different petal shapes around. So the reason I'm showing you this in paper is I've used the paper sculpting kit to give that extra texture. And what you can do, what you have in the paper sculpting kit, it comes with these different tool sets, and you get different stylus heads. So the stylus tools are meant for you to work with on cardstock in order to push down to give it that crease line, so it makes it look like it's actually more of a petal, like how a petal would look. But when you're working with crepe paper, you might want to use this to really form the edge. So I'm really might want like more of a cupped kind of center at the top. So I'm just gonna do this and turn it in, and you'll notice it starts to shape in. And that's what is really nice about these, is I can then get that to kind of curve in more. I can give it a little bit more of a textured feel at the top. With these smaller ones, if I want, I can just kind of push and rub in, and it creates more of a weathered look like that. So these really help to form. You also get a pair of scissors in there, which is great for cutting down your crepe paper. And you get a pair of tweezers, which this can be really helpful when you are wanting to add a little bit more of like a twist at the top and get even more of an organic shape. So you can really customize your flower sets by twisting and pulling, and you just get more of a realistic, I don't know if you can really tell, you get more of a realistic shape when you mess with the edges of things. So I wanted to bring in, let me just get these out of the way real quick. I wanted to bring in some finished flowers so I can talk you through them a little bit. So I showed you this one a little bit earlier. Now this one we created on a wood bead, the center, and then we've cut those stamens that come in the in the die set out of crepe paper and then wrapped them around that wood bead. And then we've just cut a series of the petals, we've shaped them and glued them on in the bottom, as you can see. Now with this, I haven't finished this one, but with this one, to cover those excess pieces, I would cut some of these green leaves and lay those down right here so it covers up any mess that you have on the bottom. And then you're just gonna need some floral tape and you start wrapping the floral wire to get that. But like I said, if you're not making a bouquet, you don't even have to create these on a floral stem. You can create them by taking the flower stamens like so and folding them in half. I would then hot glue this piece down here, and then you can just start gluing the flower petals around the shape right there, and just keep gluing and gluing around until you get the shape that you want. So you can make the flowers with or without those. This one I did out of cardstock, and then I used the paper sculpting kit to create some of the more realistic feel to this one. And then I also wanted to point out, this is sold separately, but we have our new fold and form tool. So if you are going to use cardstock, this is really great, because what you can do with the cardstock, I'll do it on the crepe paper because it works with the crepe paper too, is you can take this piece right here, put it in there, and then begin to shape. So you can actually get even more of a curve with these. So this isn't in the bundle, but I did want to show that that's something you can use to create even more of a textured kind of feel on it. Now I showed you, I have this in a vase off to the side. So I've got it all bundled together, but underneath you can see I've gone in and I have finished all of these by adding leaves to the bottom underneath, just to give it that finished polished look. And then I've bound them tightly together. I've used markers to kind of add onto some of these to give it a little bit more of a realistic coloring. Some of these are really tight and bound together. Some have used the same colors on the inside and the stamens just to create a monochromatic feel. And then some I've changed them out to feel a little bit different. What's nice about peonies is they come in a variety of colors, but this pack actually has pretty much a lot of the colors that peonies even come in realistically in life. But you can always use like pan pastels, markers, chalk, some of our acrylic paints even. I've seen dry brushing with acrylic paints to give a wash on crepe paper. So you can really customize the colors with other coloring surfaces to create more realistic blooms. And that's the beauty about crepe paper, to get the realistic blooms that you want. We'll have a lot more projects and tutorials coming up on all of our crepe paper flowers, and I will actually be doing one again soon with this particular die set, so you'll get a little bit more of an in-depth tutorial of how to assemble them, so be on the lookout for that. But that is what comes in your bundle. You get the crepe paper pack, the paper sculpting kit, and the dies and the metallic stamens. So I hope you have enjoyed this little sneak peek into what that is. And if you have any questions, please let us know in the comments. I'm gonna switch back up real quick. Okay, so that's everything that comes in our floral bundle. I know that crepe paper can seem a little intimidating at times, but the more you play with it, the more you kind of make these flowers, the easier it gets, I promise. I wish I could show you my first one versus the ones I've been doing more recently. But you can make singular stems like we talked about. I'm really looking forward to trying out all the different kind of project makes that I can make with these wild peonies, especially because it's peony season right now. So if you have any questions, please let us know. We are happy to answer anything that you might be confused on or want more advice on. Please just let us know in the comments. I look forward to seeing you again soon, and be sure to check out this new floral bundle on Sizzix.com or Sizzix.co.uk.